This is HFY Vanguard, where faith meets fire and even priests have sins the stars can't forgive. The story begins now. The shuttle's hull trembled as it descended through the upper atmosphere of Elysium, the golden planet that shimmered like a cathedral suspended in space. Its twin suns bled light across the sky, painting the clouds in gold and violet. Inside the cabin, Father Marcus Valerius sat in silence, fingers brushing the edge of a tarnished silver cross that hung from his neck. The metal caught a glint of alien sunlight, reflecting a flash across the cabin like a silent benediction or a warning. He looked every bit the diplomat priest, black clerical coat, high collar, woven from advanced cotton polymers, boots too clean to belong to a soldier. But beneath the calm exterior, his shoulders carried the weight of scars invisible and old. The faint cut along his jaw, fresh not healed, whispered of something recent violent. Across from him sat Latara Tone, representative of the Elayan Republic. Her pale green skin glowed faintly under the shuttle's ambient lighting, almost luminescent against the backdrop of deep space velvet. Her silvery white hair flowed freely, adorned with a single golden clasp, a cultural symbol of trust. Her eyes, blue and wide, studied him with a diplomat's curiosity and a woman's instinct for danger. "First time on Elysium, Father," she asked, voice melodic but edged with suspicion. Marcus looked up. His eyes were striking human blue, calm yet alive with thought. "First time anywhere beyond the Orion Arm," he admitted with a polite smile. "The universal faith hasn't been granted permission to operate in this sector until now. I'm honored to be the first." Latara tilted her head. "The Galactic Council rarely allows human religious orders to establish presence outside their territory. You must have powerful advocates." Marcus smiled faintly, the kind that revealed nothing. "Perhaps it was our record of service rather than persuasion. We serve all species equally, faith medicine, rebuilding, not conversion." Or perhaps, Latara mused, leaning back with her arms crossed, "Your reputation preceded you." Marcus raised a brow. "Reputation." "The priests of your order," she said softly, "have a strange tendency to arrive in troubled regions and leave them peaceful." Her tone was almost teasing, but her eyes watched him carefully. He met her gaze steadily. "Divine providence," he replied with a glimmer of dry humor. The shuttle pierced the last layer of clouds, and Elysium spread beneath them. Endless plains of crystalline vegetation, golden rivers flowing through white cliffs, and at the horizon a massive stone structure rising from the desert plateau like a dream carved from faith, the Temple of Eternal Wisdom. Latara's voice softened with reverence. "That is our destination. The temple predates even our civilization. Neutral ground, a place of truth where no weapon has been drawn for 10,000 years. Marcus leaned forward, studying it through the viewport. "Beautiful craftsmanship," he murmured. "It reminds me of Earth's Gothic cathedrals, arches that reach for heaven as if to prove they belong there." As they disembarked, the dry air of Elysium hit him heavy with spice and minerals, ancient and clean. The temple loomed ahead, every column carved with runes of unknown age. Pilgrims and dignitaries from half a dozen species filled the Grand Plaza, banners fluttering in the hot wind. For a moment, Marcus allowed himself to breathe in the magnitude of it all. But Latara's posture changed, her diplomatic poise stiffened. Marcus noticed immediately something wrong. Her eyes darted toward a group of armed temple guards approaching from the outer gate. "Those uniforms," she whispered. "They're not the regular temple watch." Marcus's hand instinctively moved toward the pendant at his chest. His tone remained soft. "Stay behind me, Miss Tone." "What?" "Why would I?" The first blaster shot tore through the air where her head had been a second before. Marcus had already pulled her down behind a marble column, his movements a blur of precision. "Stay low," he ordered. His voice was different now, deeper, colder. No hesitation. Latara's breath caught as Marcus reached beneath his coat and drew a compact pulse pistol from a hidden holster. The holy man, the envoy of peace, armed. The next few seconds unfolded too fast for her to process. The first attacker rounded the column, weapon raised. Marcus twisted, disarmed him with a single motion, and struck a sharp blow to the throat. No wasted effort, no mercy. The guard collapsed before his body registered pain. Two more came from the side. He moved like a shadow. Shot, pivot, elbow drop. Every strike efficient, every breath measured. Latara could only stare, pressed against the stone, as the gentle priest became something else entirely, a man who had killed before and would again without hesitation. A final attacker lunged with a vibroblade vibrating with lethal resonance. Marcus blocked the swing, twisted the alien's arm until a bone snapped, then used the weapon's momentum to strike another down. In less than 30 seconds, 5 armed assailants lay sprawled on the temple steps. Silence fell. Latara rose slowly, trembling. Father, what are you? Marcus exhaled, the tension leaving his shoulders. He holstered the weapon, turned toward her, and the softness returned to his voice. Are you hurt? She shook her head, still stunned. You just killed them like... He smiled, faintly, tiredly. No one died. They'll live, though perhaps not comfortably. Her voice trembled. You said you were a priest. I am. He adjusted the cross around his neck. But before I found my calling, I was something else entirely. Latara stared, the meaning dawning on her. A soldier. He nodded once. Special operations. Proxima Centauri campaign. I served until I grew tired of watching the light go out of people's eyes. Now I serve life instead. The temple doors opened with a low rumble as emergency sirens echoed across the plaza. Temple guardians rushed out, shouting orders in multiple languages. Marcus extended a hand to help her up. It seems our peaceful mission has just become more complicated. She hesitated before taking it. His grip was steady, too steady. You're not what I expected, Father Valerius. Few humans are Ms. Tone. He smiled, though his eyes remained distant. Shall we? As they walked into the shadowed halls of the temple, Latara's mind spun. Who was this man, really the missionary who preached peace, or the ghost of war wrapped in faith's robes? Every glance, every quiet word seemed to hide another layer. Behind them, temple medics tended to the wounded assailants. The pattern of their weapons and armor would later raise questions. Why were they equipped with military-grade stealth modules? Why did their insignias bear faint traces of both Draxian and Elaean emblems? Enemies turned conspirators. But those questions belong to another hour. For now, Father Marcus walked beneath the vaulted ceiling of an alien holy place, the flickering torches casting fractured light across his face, half saint, half shadow. Latara followed in silence, her gaze lingering on the glint of the cross at his throat. A symbol of peace, a tool of war. She wasn't sure which side of it she'd just witnessed or which side she wanted to believe in. The temple of eternal wisdom rose before them like a memory carved into stone, its spires reaching so high they seemed to pierce the sky itself. Each arch was inscribed with alien scripture that glowed faintly under the touch of Elysium's twin suns. Statues of long-forgotten philosophers lined the entrance hall, their eyes cast downward as if humbled by the weight of eternity. Marcus stepped inside and felt the air change. It was cool, filtered by ancient vents that whispered through the marble corridors. The smell was faintly metallic, old incense, mixed with something electrical. Latara followed closely behind her bare feet, soft against the polished floor, her toga fluttering like liquid silk. The quiet hum of security drones echoed above them. Beautiful, isn't it? She murmured, almost reverent. This temple was built before our species even had starships. It has seen more peace treaties than wars until today. Marcus studied the architecture. I see patterns of both faith and mathematics. Whoever built this believed the divine could be measured. That's an Elaean philosophy, she said, smiling faintly. Faith is geometry, harmony as proof of truth. Marcus's eyes softened. On Earth, we used to believe faith was mystery. Here it seems to have become an equation. They turned a corner into the Hall of Echoes, a massive rotunda filled with light streaming from the stained crystal ceiling. Delegates from multiple worlds were already gathering, Draxian, Elaean, and human envoys, all surrounded by interpreters and guards. The peace conference was to begin within a day. Yet even among the diplomatic calm, something felt wrong. Latara felt it too. Why so many guards, she whispered. Marcus's eyes narrowed slightly. Because someone knows what we don't. Before she could respond, a dull vibration rippled through the floor. Too subtle to be an earthquake, too sharp to be coincidence. The stained glass ceiling trembled. Then came the explosion. The first blast erupted from the western quarter, a shockwave of plasma and smoke. The diplomatic banners ignited in orange flame. Screams echoed through the temple as shards of crystal rained from above. Marcus reacted instantly. He grabbed Latara by the waist and dove behind a marble bench as debris tore through the air. The explosion's aftershock rolled like thunder. "Guards down," someone shouted in Alien. "Ambush." Through the smoke, figures emerged, black-armored mercenaries bearing no insignia. Their movements were too disciplined for ordinary thugs. Hired killers, military grade. Latara tried to rise, but Marcus pushed her back down. "Stay here." She caught his wrist, eyes wide. "You can't." "I've done worse things than this," he said quietly, then rose into the chaos. He moved like a man shedding his disguise. The priest's stillness vanished. In its place, lethal precision. He advanced through smoke and flame with calm, deliberate violence. A mercenary raised his blaster. Marcus shot first, the pulse bolt burning a perfect hole through the attacker's shoulder. Two others charged from the flank. Marcus disarmed the first, used the blaster's recoil to pivot, and slammed his elbow into the second's throat. The sound was muffled by screams and gunfire. Latara stared from her, covered disbelief warring with awe. Each of Marcus's movements was measured efficient, beautiful in its brutality. The way his coat flared when he turned, the gleam of his silver cross swinging like a metronome to death's rhythm. It all seemed impossibly human and impossibly beyond. He fired once, twice, then rolled to the side as plasma scorched the wall behind him. The smell of burning stone filled the hall. Within moments, the mercenaries lay scattered, wounded, stunned, but alive. Marcus crouched, checking one of the unconscious attackers. The gear bore Draxian manufacture, but the targeting modules had alien encryption keys. He frowned. Strange bedfellows. Latara approached carefully. "You didn't kill them?" "Not yet," he said, his voice steady. "We'll get more answers from the living." A group of temple guardians, the real ones, arrived moments later, their silver armor gleaming. Their commander, a burly alien named Thorin, bowed to Latara and then to Marcus. "Apologies, Father. The perimeter was compromised. We didn't expect." "Extremists," Marcus said. "People who profit from chaos." He looked toward the smoldering banners. "Peace has enemies in every age." They moved deeper into the temple, away from the wreckage. Thorin led them into a chamber filled with holographic consoles and relics of the old world. "We'll keep you here until we secure the premises," he said. The attackers were well coordinated. They knew the temple's blind spots. Latara paced, her composure cracked by adrenaline. No one outside the diplomatic corps should have access to those schematics. Marcus folded his hands behind his back, staring at the holographic feeds. Unless someone inside the corps gave it to them. Her gaze snapped to him. "You think there's a traitor?" "I think," Marcus said, his voice quiet but sharp, "someone wanted this conference to end in blood." Silence fell. The monitors flickered, showing security footage from multiple angles. Among the chaos, Marcus's trained eye caught details: formation, spacing weapon consistency, coordinated signals. These were not random mercenaries. He leaned closer to the screen. "Look there, Unit Delta 5, right flank. Notice how they avoid hitting the central dais." Latara followed his finger. They weren't trying to kill the delegates, they were creating confusion. "Exactly," Marcus said, "distraction for something else." A tremor of unease crossed Latara's face. "Then what's the real target?" Before Marcus could answer, the temple lights flickered, plunging them momentarily into shadow. Emergency runes glowed blue along the walls. The hum of the power core shifted pitch. "Systems breach," Thorin barked. "Someone's inside the mainframe." Marcus's instinct screamed, "Seal the chamber." But it was too late. The temple's vast doors opened with a hiss, and a figure stepped through, cloaked, silent, wearing the mask of a temple guardian. For a heartbeat, everyone relaxed. Then the figure raised its weapon and fired. The blast hit Thorin square in the chest, sending him crashing into the console. Marcus returned fire instantly, but the attacker vanished, literally vanished, fading into shimmer and static. "Cloaking tech," he muttered. Latara ducked behind the console, shouting over the alarms. "How do you fight what you can't see?" Marcus drew a deep breath. "You listen." He closed his eyes. The chaos around him dimmed, blasters, alarms, Latara's panic breathing, and all fading into background noise. Beneath it, faintly, a rhythm, a pulse. Every movement, even cloaked, had a sound. The whisper of air displaced by steps. The faint hum of active nanotech. Marcus turned sharply and fired. The invisible figure reappeared mid-motion, plasma bolt grazing its side. The cloak failed, revealing an alien assassin in black armor, lean fast deadly. The assassin hissed in a distorted voice, "You shouldn't be here, priest." "Neither should you," Marcus replied, reloading calmly. Their duel was fast and brutal. The assassin moved like smoke, using speed and precision, but Marcus countered with instinct and experienced the kind of reflex that came from years of surviving impossible wars. When the assassin lunged, Marcus sidestepped and struck with the butt of his pistol, dislodging the mask. Beneath it, the alien's face was marked with ritual scars, Draxian. The assassin's blade slashed across Marcus's shoulder, searing cloth and skin. He grunted pain flashing through his vision, but his stance didn't falter. He parried with the broken edge of a fallen staff, caught the assassin's wrist, and twisted until the weapon clattered to the floor. With a single strike to the throat, the attacker fell gasping, alive but beaten. Marcus crouched, his expression unreadable. "Who sent you?" The Draxians sneered, blood glistening on sharp teeth. "The same ones who sent you, human." Faith wrapped in lies. Before Marcus could press further, the assassin bit down on something, a neural capsule. Blue light flared under his skin, and he went limp. Latara gasped. He killed himself." "Trigger implant," Marcus said grimly, "to prevent interrogation." He rose, touching his bleeding shoulder. The cut was shallow, but the burn still sizzled. Latara reached for him, concern softening her features. "You're hurt." "It's nothing," he murmured, though his pulse said otherwise. Her hand lingered near his arm, her eyes searching his. "You risked your life for people you just met. That's not diplomacy." Marcus met her gaze. "No," he said quietly, "that's faith." Their eyes held for a moment too long, the kind that stretches into something unspoken. Thorin groaned, regaining consciousness. "Father, the attack wasn't isolated. Reports coming in multiple infiltrations across the temple." Marcus helped him sit up. "Then this isn't just an assassination, it's a message." "A warning?" Latara asked. He turned toward the ancient stone walls, glowing faintly with sacred runes. "No," Marcus said, voice low. "An opening move." The fires in the temple were extinguished by nightfall. Emergency lanterns flickered along the corridors, casting trembling shadows across walls engraved with 10 millennia of prayers. Outside Elysium's twin moons hung low, one white, one red, bathing the marble courtyards in ghost light. Inside a secured chamber deep beneath the main sanctuary, Marcus Valerius sat alone. His jacket lay folded on a table beside a medical kit, and his shoulder wound glowed faintly under a patch of sterile nanofilm. He stared at the silver cross pendant resting in his palm, its metal scuffed from the day's violence. For a man of faith, silence should have been comfort, yet tonight it was judgment. The door opened with a soft hiss. Latara Tone entered barefoot, her toga now replaced by a long, white diplomatic robe that shimmered faintly under the chamber lights. Her hair was still unbound, cascading over her shoulders like molten silver. "You should be resting," Marcus said, not looking up. "So should you," she replied, closing the door behind her. "But I doubt either of us knows how to." He smiled faintly. "You're learning." She approached the table, her expression uncertain. "The temple security reports confirm your suspicion, multiple infiltration teams, extremists from both factions." Marcus nodded. "Peace terrifies the ones who profit from chaos." "Still," she said softly, eyes studying him, "what I saw today. I don't know whether to thank you or fear you." Marcus set the cross down carefully. "Both are acceptable reactions." Her lips curved slightly. "Honesty. From a priest. I find lies unhelpful," he said, "especially when truth is already terrifying." Latara leaned against the opposite wall, arms crossed. "Tell me, Father, are all human priests trained to kill?" His gaze lifted to meet hers. "No, only the ones who've seen what happens when diplomacy fails." Silence lingered between them, thick charged. The hum of the security field filled the void. Finally, Latara pushed away from the wall and stepped closer. "You carry yourself like someone waiting for orders that never come." Marcus's jaw tightened. Old habits. "And yet," she said, voice lower now, "you speak of peace like someone who still believes it's possible." "I have to," he said. Faith dies the moment we stop pretending it can live. Her smile softened. That's beautifully tragic. I wasn't trying to be. She stopped an arm's length away, studying his face, the faint scar along his temple, the small cut on his lip, the exhaustion hidden behind his calm. You bleed like anyone else, she murmured. That's comforting. He almost laughed. You find comfort in human fragility. In humanity itself, she said. Your species fascinates me. So young, so reckless, yet you cling to ideals as if the stars themselves would dim without them. Marcus looked down. Maybe they would. She took another step forward. The air between them shifted. On Alea, she said quietly, we are taught that physical connection is sacred not for pleasure but for remembrance. After great danger, we share energy to remind ourselves we survived. Marcus's breath caught. A cultural ritual. Something like that, she said, eyes glimmering. It helps us forget death's breath on our necks. He swallowed. We have rituals too, mostly prayer. She smiled faintly. Perhaps your God forgives you faster than ours. Her words lingered heavy with meaning. Marcus turned away, pretending to adjust his bandage. You're suggesting... What exactly? Latara's voice softened into something between teasing and sincerity. That we're both alive, and that sometimes survival deserves to be honored. He met her gaze again, and the room seemed smaller, the air warmer. You're aware priests take vows. I'm aware you already broke one, she whispered, stepping closer. Marcus blinked. Which one? Thou shalt not kill. Her logic cut sharper than any blade. He exhaled through a tired smile. That's interpretation. Everything about faith is interpretation. She reached up, fingertips brushing the faint cut on his face. Her skin was warm, not the dry warmth of a soldier's touch, but something alive, almost radiant. Your face, she said softly. You move between compassion and violence so easily it frightens me. He caught her wrist gently but didn't pull away. You should keep your distance. Why? Because I'm still deciding which side of me wins when I forget to think. Her eyes deepened, shimmering blue in the dim light. Then stop thinking. The words hit harder than any weapon. She closed the remaining space between them. For a heartbeat, neither moved, only the sound of breath shared and uneven. Then her lips found his. It was not gentle. It was the kind of kiss born from exhaustion and defiance from people who'd seen death and wanted to prove they were still alive. Marcus froze for a moment, then gave in. His hand slid to her waist, feeling the rapid pulse beneath her skin. Her body was warmer than human temperature, alien biology thrumming like quiet thunder. When they finally broke apart, Latara's breath trembled. Your people, they kiss differently. Marcus's voice was rough. We do everything differently. She smiled faintly. Show me. They found each other again, less restrained now. Her silvery hair tangled with his fingers as they stumbled toward the low resting couch. The cross at his neck glowed faintly, its surface reacting to his pulse, as if torn between blessing and warning. Her laughter, soft, disbelieving, filled the space. So much power hidden behind faith. He whispered against her ear, faith is what keeps power from consuming us. And for a while, words stopped mattering. The chamber lights dimmed automatically, leaving only the moonlight filtering through the high window. Skin met skin, faith met flesh. Cultural differences became discovery. Her faint bioluminescence painting his skin in patterns of soft green and gold, his human intensity overwhelming her with the sheer focus of it. When it ended, they lay entangled in silence. The only sound was the rhythmic hum of the temple's life support systems, a heartbeat echoing the two beneath the sheets. Latara's voice was the first to break the stillness. Do all humans love like that? Marcus turned to face her, his expression unreadable. We love like we fight, he said quietly. Completely or not at all. She traced the line of his chest with a lazy finger, leaving a faint glowing trail that faded slowly. Then perhaps that's why your kind frightens us so much. He caught her hand, pressed a kiss to her palm. You think we're monsters. I think she said you are miracles with bad timing. He laughed softly, a sound of both relief and regret. Maybe. Silence stretched again. Outside, the twin moons began their slow descent behind the temple spires. Marcus sat up, staring at the faint light filtering through the stone window. Latara rose beside him, wrapping a thin blanket around her shoulders. You're leaving. I have to, he said. There's still a traitor in this temple, and whoever sent those assassins won't stop. Her voice softened. And what about us? Marcus hesitated. We do what duty demands. She looked at him, her blue eyes shimmering. And if faith demands something else? He turned, meeting her gaze. Then faith will have to forgive me. Latara stepped forward, touched his chest over the cross pendant that still glowed faintly. On Alea, she said quietly, we say the universe tests those it cannot control. And what are you, Latara Tone? He asked. A test? Her smile was slow, mysterious, a reminder. He brushed a strand of her hair behind her ear. Of what? That even the deadliest priest, she whispered, still has a heartbeat. For a long moment they stood like that, a soldier wrapped in faith and a diplomat wrapped in light, bound by something neither law nor doctrine could name. Then as the temple bells signaled the coming dawn, Marcus reached for his coat and weapons. The priest returned. The warrior slept behind his eyes once more. But Latara knew the truth now. Behind that calm smile and scripture-quoting tongue was a storm, a man built to destroy, pretending he was built to heal. And she, for reasons she didn't fully understand, wanted to see both sides burn and shine again. The temple of eternal wisdom looked peaceful again. From the outside, its golden spires gleaming beneath the pale dawn. But inside, the air felt wrong. Quiet, yes, but the kind of quiet that comes after a scream. Father Marcus Valerius walked through the corridors beside Latara, both of them wearing the masks of professionalism again. The night they had shared existed now only in the space between glances hidden sacred and dangerous. Everywhere around them, temple guardians and security drones worked to restore order. Burn marks still scarred the marble. The smell of scorched plasma lingered beneath the perfume of incense. The council won't like this, Latara murmured, scanning her datapad. A peace conference nearly destroyed before it even began. They'll use this as proof humans bring chaos wherever they go. Marcus didn't slow. Then it's my job to prove them wrong. His tone was calm, but the steel underneath it made her glance up. He moved with purpose, not as a diplomat, but as a soldier who'd already mapped the exits, counted the guards, measured the danger. Thorn, the burly Alaean commander, approached them. Father Valerius, diplomat Tone, we've detained survivors from the initial attack. They're being held in the lower archives. Any progress? Marcus asked. Thorn's expression hardened. None. They all have implanted self-termination capsules, like the one you witnessed. Latara folded her arms. Whoever planned this didn't just want to kill delegates, they wanted to erase evidence. Thorn nodded grimly. We traced a data leak through the temple's internal network. Someone accessed the security protocols just hours before the attack. High-level clearance. Marcus's jaw tightened, meaning an insider. The Alaean commander gestured to a nearby console. We have partial traces code fragments linking the intrusion to the diplomatic quarter. Latara frowned. That's impossible. Every diplomat is under surveillance. Perhaps not as much as you think, Marcus said. They followed Thorn down the spiral staircases leading into the temple's archive sector, a labyrinth of stone and circuitry where relics met holograms, and the walls hummed with both prayer and power. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Latara shivered. This place feels alive. It remembers, Marcus said softly. Every betrayal leaves a scar, even in stone. They entered the control chamber, half library, half war room. Rows of glowing data crystals lined the shelves. Latara moved quickly to the terminal, fingers flying across the interface. There, she said, pointing. Someone accessed classified files during the third moonrise right before the attack. They used Ambassador Krell's credentials. Marcus frowned. Krell, he's head of the Draxian delegation. Yes, she said. And he was at a public dinner with half the Alaean ministry at that time. I was there. It wasn't him. Then someone stole his access codes, Marcus said grimly, or he gave them willingly. Before Latara could respond, the lights flickered again, just like before. A low hum filled the chamber. The holographic displays glitched static, crawling over their edges. Power fluctuation, she asked. Marcus's voice went cold. No, it's a jammer. We're being cut off. The temple's melodic alert system echoed faintly through the halls, a haunting chime that once symbolized meditation, now a harbinger of danger. They're here, Marcus said. Latara activated her comm. Thorn, we have a breach in the archive sector. Static. Nothing. Communications down, Marcus confirmed. Standard infiltration pattern. The sound came then faint footsteps above light, but precise echoing down the spiral staircase. Latara's heart began to pound. Marcus drew his concealed pistol. "Stay behind me." "Don't start that again," she whispered. But before she could say more, the chamber lights died completely. Only the faint blue glow of the data crystals illuminated their faces. Then a voice, modulated, calm, and inhuman. "Impressive, Father Valerius." The stories were true. Marcus's pulse quickened. He turned toward the sound. The void. Latara froze. She had heard that name whispered in every intelligence briefing, a myth among assassins. The Draxian void operative, an agent who could erase entire stations and vanish into vacuum. No witnesses, no survivors. From the shadows, the assassin emerged. Black armor shimmered like liquid night, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The helmet's surface was featureless, a mirror of nothingness. Latara's voice was a whisper. "You're real." The void ignored her. "Your faith has evolved human. Nanotech woven with scripture. The galaxy always feared what you might become." Marcus raised his weapon. "You talk too much for a ghost." The void moved. One moment it was across the room, the next inches from Marcus. Their weapons clashed, pistol against blade. Sparks flew, scattering blue light over stone. The assassin's movements were faster, sharper, augmented by alien tech that blurred the line between speed and teleportation. Marcus blocked, ducked, countered, his training reawakening in full. Each impact echoed through the chamber like a drumbeat of faith and fury. "Run!" he shouted to Latara. But she stood frozen, torn between fear and disbelief, watching as the priest she'd kissed hours ago fought like a creature born for war. The void swung with a vibroblade. Marcus parried and counterpunched, striking the assassin's chest. The armor absorbed most of it, but the blow staggered the attacker just enough for Marcus to draw breath. "You hide behind faith," the void hissed. "But underneath, you're like me, built to kill." Marcus's voice was low, dangerous. "You mistake faith for blindness." He struck again, fast, precise. The blade scraped his ribs, leaving a shallow cut. Pain lanced through him, but he barely flinched. The assassin laughed, a hollow metallic sound. "How many confessions did you bury under your prayers, Father?" "Enough to know what redemption cost," Marcus said. He reached for the pendant at his neck, the silver cross. His fingers found the hidden latch and twisted. The cross pulsed with blue light, humming to life. A ripple of energy swept across his body. The black clerical suit hardened, reconfiguring into a flexible armor of silver-threaded nanites. The wound on his side sealed instantly. Latara gasped. What is that?" "The truth," Marcus said. The void tilted its head. "So it's true. The priests of universal faith are weapons disguised as saviors." "Guardians," Marcus corrected, stepping forward. "We protect what others abandon." They clashed again, light against shadow. The fight turned brutal, each strike faster, harder, breaking stone and sending shards flying. Latara backed against the wall, the glow of the cross reflecting in her wide eyes. "Marcus," she shouted. He didn't answer. His focus was total, each move a prayer in motion, each strike a verse of conviction. Finally, the assassin overreached, and Marcus drove a knee into its chest, sending it crashing into an ancient pillar. The armor cracked, revealing scaled Draxian skin beneath. "It seems we're both unmasked," Marcus said, voice rough. The void raised its weapon again, but before the next strike could fall, the temple doors sealed automatically, Thorin's failsafe locking both combatants inside. "Seems we're alone now," Marcus said. "Then die with me," the void whispered. The assassin lunged. Outside, Latara pounded against the sealed doors. Marcus. Through the narrow glass slit, she could see only flashes blue light from his armor, the red shimmer of the assassin's blade, the two figures circling each other in a storm of faith and fury. She pressed her forehead to the cold glass, whispering to no one, "Please survive." Inside, Marcus and the void moved faster than thought, blade and fist, colliding, echoing through the ancient temple like thunder. Each believed utterly in their cause. Each thought they were saving the galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness between them, truth waited silent, watching patient. The locked chamber echoed with the clash of metal and the hiss of plasma. Every impact between Father Marcus Valerius and the void felt like thunder trapped inside stone. Sparks scattered across the carved runes that once sang hymns to peace. Now they glowed in violent rhythm with combat blue, it for faith, red for death. The assassin's voice came through the cracked modulator, distorted but coldly amused. Your order hides well, priest, but the galaxy has long suspected. Every mission of mercy ends just where chaos begins to fade. Tell me, what are you really? Marcus parried a slash, twisted, and drove his elbow into the Draxian's midsection. Humanity's promise, he gritted out. To fight what must be fought so others don't have to. The void staggered, then recovered instantly, blade flashing in an arc that forced Marcus back. Promise, the assassin laughed, voice mechanical and bitter. You mean control. The universal faith peacekeepers, with one hand, assassins with the other. Marcus lunged, catching the assassin's wrist, forcing the blade upward. We keep peace through service. Through fear, the void interrupted, slamming a knee into his side. You preach compassion with weapons forged in secrecy. You're not priests, you're soldiers with guilt complexes. Their blades locked again, nanotech humming against alien alloy. The cross pennant at Marcus's chest glowed brighter, feeding microbursts of energy through his suit. His voice hardened. Maybe. But I'll take guilt over apathy. He shoved forward, overpowering the assassin and throwing him back against the shattered column. The void steadied, helmet cracked from the impact. Through the fracture, Marcus glimpsed reptilian eyes, intelligent, hateful, almost human in their pain. You think you're different, the Draxian rasped, but your faith is just another weapon. It killed planets before your species learned humility. Marcus froze for half a second. What are you talking about? The assassin smiled through blood and static. Ask your leaders about Proxima 9. Ask them what happened to the rebels who refused your salvation. Marcus's pulse thundered in his ears. He'd heard rumors, classified files, whispered through the halls of his order, but never confirmation. He gripped the cross tightly, forcing focus. You're lying. Am I? The void tilted his head. The universal faith brings peace, but only after burning the heretics to ash. You didn't end war, priest. You just made it sacred. Rage flared not at the insult, but at the faint echo of truth buried inside it. Marcus attacked again, movements faster, sharper, driven by something rawer than duty. Every strike was a question, every block a denial. The void ducked, countered, slicing across Marcus's forearm. Sparks burst as armor deflected most of the blade, but pain still burned beneath. Marcus's next blow sent the assassin crashing into the central dais, shattering the ancient mosaic of the temple's founders. Faith is the only thing that stops power from devouring itself, Marcus shouted. And yet the void coughed, rising slowly. Your faith devoured you. The assassin raised the phase blade again, energy crackling along its edge. When this peace conference fails, your order will be blamed. Every alien world will see humanity as conquerors hiding behind prayers. And war will return endless and profitable. Marcus's expression darkened. For who? For us all, the void said. War is the natural order. Then nature is wrong. Marcus triggered his final augment. The nanites in his suit surged glowing blue-white as they overloaded their safety limiters. The energy field burst outward in a blinding halo. The void staggered, shielding his eyes. Let me show you what faith can be, Marcus said. He launched forward faster than sight. His strike connected chest-to-chest blade against blade sparks exploding into a radiant storm. The assassin roared in pain as the nanites on Marcus's gauntlet latched onto his armor, hacking into its power circuits, draining them. The void's lights flickered. Marcus seized the moment, driving his fist into the Draxian's jaw. The impact sent the assassin spinning, slamming into the wall. But the effort drained Marcus too. His armor-dimmed systems overheating, steam hissed from his gloves. The assassin pushed up slowly, breathing ragged. You think you've won? Marcus steadied his aim pistol raised. No, I think I've survived. Before he could fire, the temple, ceiling above them, shuddered explosions rumbling through the upper levels. Latara's voice echoed faintly through the sealed door. Marcus, can you hear me? The temple's under attack again. He turned toward the sound, distracted for half a second, and that was all the void needed. The assassin lunged, shoulder-checking him into the wall. The pistol clattered away. The vibro blade slashed upward, grazing Marcus's throat. He twisted aside, grabbed the assassin's wrist, and slammed his forearm into the Draxian's elbow until bone snapped. The blade fell. Marcus caught it midair and reversed it in one smooth motion. For a heartbeat, both men froze, the void on his knees, Marcus standing above him, weapon poised. "Go on," the assassin hissed. "Finish it. Make your god proud." Marcus's chest rose and fell. He could feel the heat of his armor cooling nanites humming like a heartbeat. "My god," he said quietly, "asked me to protect life, not end it." He deactivated the blade and stepped back. But the void laughed low and bitter. "Mercy from you." The assassin reached for a small device on his belt, a detonation charge. Marcus saw the motion too late. The blast wasn't large, but it was enough to collapse part of the chamber. Dust and shards of stone filled the air. Marcus was thrown backward, his armor absorbing most of the shock. When the smoke cleared, the void was gone, vanished through the broken arch into the temple's lower quarters. Marcus coughed, forcing himself upright. His armor flickered, weakly, systems failing. "Latara," he rasped into his comm, static crackling. "The assassin's heading your way. I'm on pursuit." "Understood," her voice replied, breathless. "Thorin's sealing the eastern wings. Hurry." Marcus stumbled through the shattered hall, following the faint trail of scorched footprints and energy residue. His body ached, but his mind was sharper than ever. The void's words gnawed at him. Proxima 9. Heretics burned to ash. Faith made sacred through destruction. Was it true? He reached the upper level just as another explosion shook the floor. Through the broken pillars, he saw fire lighting the temple's grand courtyard. Mercenaries, dozens of them, fought against temple guardians, plasma bolts streaking across the dawn sky. And in the center, emerging from the chaos, was the void. The assassin moved toward the conference hall, cutting through soldiers like vapor. Marcus sprinted after him, ignoring the pain, the doubts, the blood on his collar. His cross burned against his skin, nanites flickering weakly. He closed the distance, just as the void reached the final corridor leading to the hall. "Stop," Marcus shouted. The assassin turned. "You're too late, priest. The delegates will die and your faith will die with them. Not today." Marcus fired the last of his weapon's energy cells. The bolt struck the void square in the chest, sending him crashing into the reinforced door. The assassin fell, armor cracked and smoking. Marcus approached slowly, weapon lowered. "It's over." The void's voice came weakly through the damaged modulator. "You think killing me stops anything? We're just pieces. The real war hides behind the piece you pretend to build." "Then I'll keep building," Marcus said, one piece at a time. The assassin's breath rattled once, twice, then ceased. The reflective visor dimmed. Marcus stared at the body for a long moment. Then he looked up through the smoke, through the chaos, toward the conference hall where the delegates waited. He whispered a prayer, half to Gate, half to himself. "Let the faith hold." Then he walked forward. Outside, Latara watched the flames through the shattered window, fear and admiration colliding in her chest. Somewhere below, Marcus was still fighting one man against an entire network of conspiracies. And in that moment, she realized something the galaxy had yet to learn. The universal faith wasn't a church, it was a warning. A reminder that when humanity prayed, it also prepared for war. The conference hall of Elysium had once been a sanctum of diplomacy. White marble floors reflecting banners of peace, every wall carved with ancient oaths that no being would raise arms within these walls. Now those same oaths burned, smoke curled upward from shattered projectors. Holographic banners flickered like dying ghosts. When Marcus burst through the side entrance, the chaos was already in full motion. Guards fired at unseen attackers. Dignitaries screamed. The scent of ozone and fear filled the air. "Latara," he called. Her voice cut through the noise. "Here." He turned toward the sound. She was crouched behind the collapsed Daya's plasma pistol in hand, elegant fingers shaking as she reloaded. "Ambassador Krell's security team turned on us," she shouted. "Half the Draxian delegation." "I see them," Marcus said, diving behind a fallen pillar. Across the room, Ambassador Krell stood tall amid the panic, calm, collected, and very much in control. The Draxian envoy's pale skin gleamed beneath the flickering lights, his jeweled robes unblemished despite the carnage around him. Two of his guards flanked him, their weapons leveled, not at the assassins, but at the other delegates. Latara's voice trembled. "He's the leak, isn't he?" Marcus's jaw tightened. He didn't just leak the information, he orchestrated everything. Krell's eyes met Marcus's across the room. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. Ah, the human priest, he called out, his tone mockingly cordial. The council's favorite weapon dressed as a savior. Marcus rose from cover, weapon in hand. It's over, Krell. Over, and the ambassador laughed softly. You have no idea how small this temple truly is. You think this is about peace between two empires? No, Father Valerius. This is about what peace costs. He gestured and the guards shifted formation. Do you know why the universal faith is feared across the stars? Because it works. You arrive where chaos reigns and somehow balance returns. But every order built on peace needs an enemy to justify its existence. Tell me, Father, when the wars end, who do you pray against? Marcus's voice was steady, but his hand trembled slightly. You're twisting faith into conspiracy. Krell's smirk deepened. No, I'm revealing it. The universal faith doesn't protect peace. It manufactures it by burning anyone who refuses to kneel. Latara's breath caught. That's a lie. Is it? Krell turned toward her, eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. Tell me, diplomat, did your human companion tell you about Proxima 9, how the faith sterilized the planet to preserve order, or how your beloved priest led the mission himself? Marcus froze. Latara turned to him, horror dawning on her face. Marcus! The room fell silent even amid the chaos. Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came. The images flooded his mind, the memories he'd buried under prayers and rituals. The burning sky, the screams, the command that echoed through his calm, purge the infected sector. For peace. He had obeyed. Say it, Krell taunted. Tell her how many you saved by killing thousands. Marcus finally spoke, voice low, rough. It wasn't what it looked like. The rebellion on Proxima 9 released a bioweapon, millions would have died. We had no choice. Krell's grin was feral. Ah, yes. The eternal excuse of the righteous, no choice. Latara's face twisted, disbelief, betrayal, something deeper. You never told me. Marcus stepped toward her. Because it wasn't mercy or cruelty. It was survival. You call that survival, she whispered. You burned a world. He flinched. I ended a war. Their eyes locked, two faiths colliding. Krell clapped slowly, mock applause echoing in the chamber. A beautiful confession. The galaxy will love it. And when the recording reaches the council, humanity's holy image will shatter. Your universal faith will be remembered not as saviors, but as tyrants. Marcus's blood went cold. You're transmitting this. Of course. Krell gestured toward the glowing data spire at the center of the hall. The temple beacon, its crystal pulsing with live streaming energy. This temple's relic transmits to every major network. The truth, Father, the truth burns brighter than any plasma fire. Latara looked at Marcus, torn between fury and fear. He's going to destroy the Accord. Marcus's voice hardened. Not if I stop him. He raised his weapon. Krell smirked. Go ahead. Kill me. Confirm everything I've said. Marcus hesitated. That split second cost him. One of Krell's guards fired the plasma bolt, hitting Marcus square in the chest. His armor absorbed most of it, but the impact hurled him backward into the altar. The cross shattered into fragments, sparks dancing across the floor. Marcus Latara screamed. He gasped, vision blurring, pain blooming like molten light. Krell approached slowly, hands clasped behind his back. Faith is fragile, isn't it? It only takes a little truth to break it. Latara's trembling hand hovered over her holster. Krell noticed. Don't be foolish, diplomat. Humanity won't save you, it only uses you. Her eyes hardened. You talk too much. She fired. The bolt struck Krell's shoulder, spinning him around. He roared in shock and pain. The guards reacted instantly, but Marcus was already moving, pushing through agony, snatching one of the shattered cross fragments from the ground. The shard glowed blue, still alive with dormant nanites. Marcus drove it into the nearest guard's throat, disarming him in a single motion. Plasma bolts erupted across the hall, shredding banners and statues. Latara ducked behind the altar, firing again. You could have told me, she shouted over the gunfire. Marcus grunted as he tackled the second guard. And you would have believed me. I trusted you. He slammed the guard into the floor, knocking him unconscious. Then trust me now. He turned toward the beacon, its data spire glowing brighter seconds from transmitting Krell's fabricated truth across the galaxy. Marcus reached for the shard embedded in his hand and threw it. The fragment struck the beacon's base, triggering an overload. The crystal exploded in a burst of blue light, the data stream collapsing into static. Krell screamed in rage, clutching his wounded shoulder. You fool, you just destroyed the only proof of your innocence. Marcus staggered forward, smoke rising from his armor. No, I destroyed your weapon. You can't bury the truth, Krell hissed. No, Marcus said, leveling his pistol, but I can make sure you don't twist it. He fired once. The shot hit Krell's leg, dropping him to the floor. Latara approached slowly, pistol still raised. You won't die here, Ambassador. You'll live to stand trial for what you've done. Krell sneered through blood. You think the Council will believe you? They'll see only a human assassin and a traitor diplomat. Marcus met his gaze. Then we'll give them something better to believe in. Before Krell could answer, Temple Guardians stormed in, weapons drawn. Thorin led the charge, his armor scorched and dented. Stand down, he barked. Latara lowered her weapon. Marcus followed his arm, trembling from exhaustion. Thorin looked around the ruined hall, then at Krell writhing on the floor. What happened here? Marcus exhaled slowly. The truth tried to kill peace. We stopped it. The commander's gaze softened. Then may the gods bless what's left of your faith, priest. As the medics rushed in, Marcus turned toward Latara. She avoided his eyes. He reached for her hand, hesitated, then let it fall. You have every right to hate me. Her voice was soft, cold. I don't hate you, I just don't know what you are anymore. Marcus nodded, once silent. She turned away, walking toward the exit as the dawn light cut through the shattered ceiling, bathing her in golden ash. For the first time in years, Marcus felt small, not as a soldier, not as a priest, but as a man standing in the ruins of both his gods and his lies. 3 days after the Battle of the Temple of Eternal Wisdom, the galaxy was still reeling. News feeds across every civilized system pulsed with the same words. The universal faith is real and it's armed. The human priest who saved the peace accord. The secret order that watched the galaxy for a century. For most species, faith had always been a private matter, an echo of ancient gods, old myths. But now faith had a face, a human one. And the galaxy was divided between those who called them guardians and those who called them heretics. The aftermath. Marcus Valerius stood before the Galactic Security Council, his black clerical robes restored, but this time no one mistook them for simple cloth. The faint shimmer of nanite thread beneath the surface betrayed the truth. The chamber stretched across kilometers, a ring of light and glass orbiting Elysium. Delegates from 30 worlds sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the human priest. Beside him, Latara Tone stood tall, her silver-white hair braided in the ceremonial Alaean style. Despite the calm mask she wore, Marcus could sense the tension in her, the storm of conflict between duty, loyalty, and something far more personal. A reptilian representative, Prefect Dorn of the Sarian Enclave, spoke first, his tail flicking irritably. Father Valerius, the universal faith's deception has shaken the galaxy. You claim to serve peace, yet you hide armies in robes. Explain why we should trust you. Marcus's voice was calm, unyielding. Because we have never hidden from our purpose. We only hid the method. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. He continued. Every mission of the faith was meant to preserve balance, to stop wars before they consume civilizations. But when peace depends on weapons, it ceases to be peace. I see that now. Latara's gaze softened at that admission. Dorn hissed. So you admit the faith is both church and military? Yes, Marcus said. Because in this galaxy, words alone don't keep evil at bay. Sometimes peace needs warriors who remember what mercy costs. A voice from the upper tier cut in Admiral Christensen, Earth's representative. The faith's actions saved the Accord, he said firmly. Without them, the Draxian hegemony and the Alaean Republic would already be at war. Humanity doesn't seek control. We offer partnership. Another delegate scoffed. Partnership or surveillance? Latara stepped forward. Enough, her voice carried across the chamber with crystalline precision. I was there. I saw Father Valerius fight, bleed, and nearly die for our peace. Whatever you think of humanity's secrets, know this: without them, there would be no temple left to argue in. The chamber fell silent again. Marcus looked at her, and for a fleeting second, something unspoken passed between them. Admiral Christensen placed a hand on the table's holographic interface. The human delegation proposes the creation of a Guardian Accord, a multi-species peacekeeping initiative derived from the universal faith's principles. All technology will be transparent. All Guardians, regardless of species, will train together. Humanity offers its resources and its accountability. A murmur rose again, this time less hostile, more uncertain. Dorn's eyes narrowed. You wish to turn your secret order into a galactic army, no, Marcus said. Into something better, a covenant not of faith alone, but of shared responsibility. A promise that peace will no longer depend on deceit. Latara added quietly, and perhaps a chance for the rest of us to learn what humanity already has, that compassion and conviction can coexist. The chamber buzzed with translators, whispering across languages. Finally, the chair being of the council, a translucent being of light from the Vath collective, rose from its suspended throne. Its voice resonated like a bell across the room. The council recognizes the Guardian Accord proposal. Deliberation begins now. The waiting. Hours later, Marcus and Latara stood in the observation deck overlooking Elysium's shining spires. The city below was alive, its streets crowded with journalists, pilgrims, and skeptics alike. Everywhere holograms of Marcus's battle flickered, the human priest standing against the assassin, the moment faith became weaponized truth. Latara leaned against the railing, arms folded. You're famous now. Half the galaxy thinks you're a saint. The other half wants you excommunicated from existence. Marcus gave a wry smile. I'll take 50-50. Better odds than most missions. She turned to face him fully, her blue eyes searching. Do you regret it, exposing the faith? He shook his head slowly. The galaxy deserves truth even if it fears it. Lies may build peace for a season, but truth is what makes it last. Latara nodded, but her tone softened. In us do we last. Marcus hesitated, the warrior in him calculating outcomes, the priest in him longing for absolution. I don't know, he admitted, but I want to try. She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the faint heat radiating from her green-tinted skin. I thought humans were cautious about love, she murmured. He smiled faintly. Faith isn't cautious, neither is love. For a moment, silence, then the sound of approaching footsteps. Admiral Christensen entered, expression unreadable. The vote's in, he said. Latara straightened, and the Guardian Accord passed by a single vote. Marcus exhaled, the tension draining from his shoulders. So, it begins. Christensen nodded. It begins. You'll lead the human contingent, Father. Latara will serve as a lay-in liaison. Latara's brow arched. You're pairing us again. Christensen smirked. The galaxy needs symbols, and frankly, you two photograph well. He left before they could argue. The covenant forged. 6 months later, the Temple of Eternal Wisdom stood reborn. Its shattered spires had been reforged with alloy and light. Banners of 32 worlds hung side by side, swaying gently in the breeze of Elysium's twin suns. The Guardian Accord was signing that day, and Marcus stood once again before the altar, no longer a solitary priest, but the representative of a new order. Beside him, Latara wore ceremonial white, her eyes bright with quiet pride. As representatives placed their seals upon the shining document, Marcus stepped forward to speak. His voice filled the vast chamber, calm, resonant, unshakable. Today we stand not as humans or aliens, believers or skeptics. We stand as guardians of truth, of peace, of one another. The galaxy has long believed that faith and power cannot coexist without corruption. Perhaps it was right. He paused, scanning the sea of faces before him. But today we prove that they can coexist with accountability, not as masters and subjects, but as partners. Latara added softly, peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the choice to build trust, even when conflict tempts us to break it. Applause thundered through the temple, echoing off the ancient stone and newly forged alloy. The delegates rose one by one and clasped hands in the old sign of unity. The Guardian Accord was born. The epilogue, faith in flesh. Later that night, long after the diplomats and cameras had gone, Marcus and Latara found themselves back in the temple garden, the same alcove where they had first kissed amid ruins and moonlight. Now peace reigned. Flowers glowed faintly beneath bioluminescent vines. The air smelled of renewal. Latara traced a finger along the small silver band on her hand, a human symbol he had once dismissed as primitive. I still don't understand your tradition of binding, she teased. You wear rings to remind yourselves of love. Marcus smiled, not to remind, to remember. A promise made once, kept always. She tilted her head. You realize your priest would call this heresy. He shrugged. Then they'll have to rewrite the scriptures. Her laughter, soft, melodic, filled the night. They stood together beneath the rising moons, watching Elysium's twin lights shimmer across the horizon. I used to think humans were dangerous, she said quietly. Too passionate, too unpredictable. Now I think that's what makes you miraculous. He turned to her. And I used to think the galaxy was full of gods. But now I see faith doesn't come from the heavens. It comes from whoever you trust to stand beside you when everything else burns. Latara leaned closer, her voice a whisper. Then let's make that our faith. Their lips met, slow reverence sealing a bond that had begun in blood and ended in belief. Above them, the temple's great beacon ignited once more, no longer transmitting lies but light. And somewhere beyond the stars, whispers began stories of the human priest and the alien diplomat who remade the galaxy not through conquest, but through conviction. Some called it myth, others called it prophecy. But to those who were there, it was something far simpler. The beginning of the new covenant.